Dear readers and listeners, we are thrilled to be bringing you the Magic School Bus books in this exciting read-along format. You may notice that some parts of the text might be read in a slightly different order, but we assure you that all of the story and facts are there. We did this because this order made the most sense for listeners. We want the listening experience to be as rich as the reading experience. Also, please don't forget to listen to the student reports at the end of the recording that will be read by Ms. Frizzle herself. Thanks for listening and reading. We hope you enjoy this Magic School Bus adventure. Best wishes, Bruce Deegan and Joanna Cole.
The Magic School Bus and the Climate Challenge. Written by Joanna Cole. Illustrated by Bruce Deegan. Have you heard about our teacher, Ms. Frizzle? Almost every day, something weird happens in her class.
In case you didn't notice, Ms. Frizzle is the strangest teacher in school. I noticed!
For example, take the day we started to study global warming. We were going to put on a play about Earth and all the changes that are happening. The Frizz had brought a book from home, and we were using the pictures to help us paint the scenery.
Our play starts in the Arctic.
Who has the white?
I need more white.
Has anyone seen the white?
Ms. Frizzle's book is kind of old, said Tim. It came out before things really started heating up. I'll go online to get new pictures, said Wanda. She headed for a computer, but Ms. Frizzle was already out the door.
Come on, class,
she called.
Bring my book, please. Let's get really up-to-date information.
I hate it when she says stuff like that. Well, I've heard her name is Valerie.
But I can't believe she was ever 9.
Before you could say North Pole, the Frizz herded us onto the bus. She pushed a few buttons and pulled a few levers. Then we were on our way to the Arctic Sea, a place with a completely different climate.
Class, the climate in the Arctic is usually very, very cold.
And I didn't even bring a sweater.
When we got there, Dorothy Ann opened Ms. Frizzle's old book. The pictures showed ice everywhere. There was still plenty of ice in the Arctic, but a lot had melted, and more was melting all the time. Ms. Frizzle steered the bus plane all over the Earth. We saw changes everywhere. 1. Global warming is melting permafrost, soil that is usually frozen. 2. It makes some places too dry. 3. It raises the sea level. 4. It changes the ocean chemistry and harms coral reefs and other sea life.
This is terrible!
5. Warming causes stronger hurricanes and tornadoes, and more forest fires, and bigger blizzards. 6. It causes animals and plants to die or to move. 7. Strange weather hurts food crops.
That whole crop might be lost.
No avocados? Holy guacamole!
Aren't you children wondering why the Earth is getting warmer and warmer?
Asked Ms. Frizzle. Actually, we were wondering why she was steering the bus plane higher and higher.
Miss Frizzle, aren't there natural ups and downs in the climate?
Yes, but they do not really explain what is happening on the Earth today.
Does anything explain what happens in this class?
Most of today's warming is caused by the increasing level of heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere,
said the Frizz.
Heat-trapping gases are also called greenhouse gases.
She had that funny gleam in her eye. We could tell something interesting was about to happen.
Heat-trapping gases act like a blanket for the Earth. How does that work?
Good question, Ralphie.
Uh-oh, here we go again.
The Frizz was going to show us how the atmosphere could make the Earth get warmer. She had flown up so we could look down on the Earth. She gave us special microscope goggles. We could see the gas molecules in the air.
Look, I see an oxygen molecule.
Oxygen's not a heat-trapping gas.
There are carbon dioxide and water vapor.
Uh-oh, those are heat-trapping gases.
Now our teacher opened the bus door.
Catch a sunbeam, kids!
She said, cheerfully pushing us out. We started sliding toward the Earth on our own sunbeams.
Children, notice how light rays pass right through the atmosphere. Isn't it fun?
In my school, there are no teachers like Miss Frizzle.
Can I switch to your school?
Help! Help!
Our sunbeams landed gently and warmed the soil. As the heat started rising from the Earth, we found ourselves going right along with it.
What an opportunity!
Shouted the Frizz.
We're going to learn about the greenhouse effect.
We were light. Then we changed into heat.
Now we're going up into the atmosphere again.
Class, we're hot stuff.
The greenhouse gases trapped some of the heat. That heat headed back to Earth again. It raised the Earth's temperature even higher than before.
We're going down to Earth again!
We're being frizzled again!
As we went back to Earth, we looked down. Carbon dioxide, CO2, was rising into the air.
A lot of extra CO2 is made when people burn fossil fuels,
said the Frizz.
Look at all the CO2!
It's coming from buses, cars, and trucks.
Houses and factories.
And electric power plants.
Wow! We had finally found out what was causing climate change. It was mostly people, including us. We panicked.
Most of that CO2 is being made by things people do.
And the CO2 is making the Earth warmer and warmer.
How can we stop global warming? We wailed.
One way is to use less energy.
The Frizz said.
Another way is to use alternative energy. That's energy made with less or no fossil fuels.
And I have to draw more and more CO2 in the pictures.
Our teacher shooed us back on the bus plane. Like it or not, we were on our way to see some alternative energy.
If the Frizz is going, we have to go too.
We don't have an alternative.
We set out to see generators, machines that make electricity. Most generators burn fossil fuel to spin their turbines and make electricity. Alternative generators make it without fossil fuels.
Look at all the things that are making electricity.
And no greenhouse gases.
In the countryside, we saw another alternative. Windmills. The wind turned the blades.
Anything that moves has energy.
The Frizz said.
And energy can be made into electricity.
So wind power makes electric power.
That puts a whole new spin on
As we flew over a desert, we heard a loud crunch. Out the window, we saw the bus plane's wings fall off. Miss Frizzle! We yelled, but she didn't seem to notice. She was too busy telling us about more alternative energy. This time, she pointed to a huge solar generator below.
The sun is running this power plant.
The wings are falling off this bus plane. I don't think she's listening.
The bus made a crash landing. Oops, we mean a splash landing. We were floating in a solar-heated swimming pool. Ms. Frizzle kept talking, telling us about solar cells. They make energy directly from the sun, with no moving parts.
Children, do you notice the many devices powered by solar cells?
Miss Frizzle, do you notice that the bus is a giant pool toy?
Hey, no splashing.
The bus stopped being a pool toy, so we rode into town. Everywhere, people were saving energy. Instead of driving private cars, many were using trains, buses, taxis, and bikes, as well as more fuel-efficient vehicles.
If everyone carpooled, it would make a huge difference. Share taxi cabs.
Ms. Frizzle pulled a bright green lever. At once, the bus morphed into a hybrid vehicle that ran on gasoline and a rechargeable battery. Can we please go back to school, Miss Frizzle? We begged. We've been on this bus too long. For once, our teacher listened.
We're back.
The Frizz exclaimed, pulling into the school parking lot. We put our goggles back on, and we saw greenhouse gases all over the place.
This is not the only place there's CO2.
Right! It's all over the Earth.
Miss Frizzle, how can we change things all over the Earth?
Class, we can start right here, right now.
We had to start saving energy right away.
Conserve, conserve, conserve.
Shouted the Frizz.
Recycle, recycle, recycle.
I conserve paper by writing on the back. I conserve paper too by not doing my homework.
We started making changes at our school. There was plenty of room for improvement. Then we called the mayor of our town. Then we wrote to the president.
Mayor Rivera, may our town get a windmill, please?
I'm emailing my senator. I'm writing to my class back home.
We told everyone, let's cut down on greenhouse gases now. Don't leave the fridge open too long. Buy Energy Star appliances.
It's not cool to leave the fridge open.
Buy things with less packaging. Buying more local produce. Use cloth shopping bags. Buy less bottled water. Air dry your laundry. The less energy you use, the less CO2 goes into the air. Finally, we had time to put on our play. It was about everything we had seen on our trip. We showed what global warming was doing to our planet. And we told about how people can help.
Warming isn't so good for our forests either. It causes droughts and wildfires. And it brings more insect pests. Yum! We love global warming.
Hey, bugs! Stop eating our forests!
Can you believe it? A TV station found out about us, and we got to be on television.
They got their whole school inspired.
They got our whole town involved.
As we left school, we asked our teacher, "Will the Earth really be okay, Ms. Frizzle?"
I hope so.
Said the Frizz.
Our only chance is to work together. Every person, every city, every country. We all need to take care of our Earth.
We will, Miss Frizzle. Your teacher's dress is unusual.
Yes, her taste in clothes is evolving.
I'm going green.
I've always been green.
Class, please take your seats. Before we go home, you all did such a great job on your reports that I'm going to read them out loud. Please go back and open your books to page 8. We'll start with What is Global Warming? By Carlos. Global warming is a rise in the average temperature of the land and water on Earth. Today, the average temperature is more than 1 degree Fahrenheit warmer than it was 100 years ago. 1 degree doesn't sound like much, but 1 small degree has caused big changes already. Ice melting, seas rising, and more freak weather. And now on page 9, a word from Dorothy Ann. The climate of an area is its usual weather. The global climate is the usual weather of the whole world. And now on page 10, Meltdown by Shirley. Melting is happening at the Arctic, Greenland, and the Antarctic. It's also happening on mountaintops, like the ones in Glacier National Park. And now on page 11, Melting Causes More Melting by Tim. Ice is white. White reflects most of the sunlight that hits it, so the sun can't heat up the ice. Water is not white. It absorbs most of the sunlight that hits it, so the water gets warmer. This starts a dangerous loop. The warm water melts more ice. That means there is more water. This water takes in more sunlight. So the water gets warmer and melts even more ice. And so on, until all the ice is gone. Next on page 13, Why is there still cold weather? By Keisha. Global warming means that the average temperature of the whole Earth is rising. Different places still have different weather, but in most places, there are more hot days and fewer cold days than before. And now on page 14, The Atmosphere, It's a Gas, by Phoebe. The Earth is surrounded by layers of gases. All this gas is called the atmosphere. What are gases? By Arnold. Gases float and fill up any space they occupy. A gas is thinner and lighter than a solid or liquid. Gases in the Atmosphere, by Molly. Most of the atmosphere is made up of these two gases: oxygen, O2, and nitrogen, N2. Continuing on to page 15, Some Gases Trap Heat, by Ralphie. Major heat trappers: water vapor, H2O, carbon dioxide, CO2, and methane, CH4. And now page 16. Tiny Stuff Matters, by Wanda. A molecule is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, the stuff the universe is made of. Molecules are made up of even tinier bits called atoms. Examples of molecules: water, H2O, 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of oxygen. Carbon dioxide, CO2. 1 atom of carbon, 2 atoms of oxygen. Turn to page 18. What is the greenhouse effect? By Keisha. A greenhouse uses glass to trap heat to keep the plants warm. The greenhouse effect is when heat-trapping gases act like the glass in a greenhouse and make the earth warmer. Next, page 19. Is the greenhouse effect bad? By Carlos. The greenhouse effect isn't all bad. If there weren't any heat-trapping gases, the earth would freeze up. The natural greenhouse effect keeps the earth at the right temperature for us. But when there are too many greenhouse gases, the earth heats up too much. This causes trouble. Continuing on to page 20. What are fossil fuels? By D.A. Fossil fuels, such as coal and oil, are made of prehistoric plants that have decayed under the earth. Some fossil fuels are oil, coal, natural gas. And now page 21. Question: why do people burn fossil fuels? Answer: to make energy. By Carlos. Energy is the power to do work. People need energy to heat houses, cook food, run vehicles, run machines, make light. Turn to page 22. Why is global warming happening now? By Tim. Humans have been on Earth for about 100,000 years. For most of that time, they didn't make enough CO2 to change the climate. Then, about 150 years ago, people invented machines that burned fossil fuel. Since then, more and more people have been burning more and more fossil fuels. Continuing on to page 23, Tons of CO2 by Keisha. Question: how much CO2 goes into the atmosphere for each person in the U.S.? Answer: too much. About 44,000 pounds a year. That's the same as 8 hefty hippos per person every year. Reducing CO2. What's our goal? By the year 2050, Americans should have reduced their hippos a lot. Instead of 8 hippos, an American should emit less than 1 hippo per year. And now, page 24. Spinning for Electricity by Arnold. Generators have turbines or blades that spin. The spinning movement reacts with magnets to make electric current. Next, page 27. Solar Cells. You Are My Sunshine by Ralphie. Solar cells are made of special materials that make electric current when light shines on them. The cells are microscopic. They can be put on panels or on a thin film. Continuing on to page 28. Biofuels. Are they better? By D.A. The plus side. Biofuel is made from plants. While it does emit CO2 when it burns, it doesn't emit extra CO2 because the plants it's made from used up CO2 as they grew. The minus side. Using food crops to make biofuel causes food shortages. And making certain biofuels uses more energy than using fossil fuels. The hopeful side. Scientists are working on biofuels made from algae and grasses. And now page 29. More words from Dorothy Ann. A hybrid vehicle uses more than one source of energy. A fuel-efficient vehicle uses less fuel to go more miles. Turn to page 30. Working Together by Wanda. Richer countries can help poorer countries get alternative energy. That way, less CO2 will go into the whole Earth's atmosphere, and we'll all be better off. Next, on page 31. More words from DA. Conserve means to avoid waste. Recycle means to treat waste materials so they can be used again. Recycling saves energy by Tim. Making new cans from recycled cans uses 30% less energy than making them from new aluminum. And finally, page 37. Now, Not Later by Phoebe. On our trip, we saw many kinds of alternative energy. The good news is, all of them are available now. The bad news is, not enough of them are being used yet.
We hope that you have enjoyed this production of The Magic School Bus and the Climate Challenge. This program was produced and directed by Cheryl Smith. Executive producer Paul R. Gagney. Text copyright 2010 by Joanna Cole. Illustrations copyright 2010 by Bruce Deegan. Production copyright 2011, Scholastic Inc. All rights reserved.